Hey Envoys, Sci-Fi Fan here with another Soulframe lore video. Today we're going to be talking about one of the primary pieces of art that has inspired digital extremes during the creation of Soulframe and its lore. Before we do this though, just a quick reminder that the game is still very much in a pre-alpha state, and some things might change prior to full release. With that out of the way, let's get into it. When Soulframe was originally announced during TinnoCon in 2022, the game's developers said that their team was interested in the idea of nature and humanity colliding, and that they would be exploring those themes through their own lens while playing with ideas of restoration and exploration. In various developer streams and interviews since, the Soulframe narrative and creative team has reiterated these overarching goals, while also highlighting the media that they say has been foundational in inspiring them during the game's design process. Here's creative director Jeff Crooks at TinnoCon 2024 talking about these inspirations.
And, if this is a fantasy game, there's a lot of tropes in the genre. How can we make it different? Well, let's embrace things we love. So you'll probably see lots of, Ghibli.
He said no until I said, we'll make it like Princess Mononoke,
true,
I swear.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, yeah, okay, I can do that.
And, we decided we really wanted to have you guys, when you play it, be, kind of have a deep role in the progression and change in this world and kind of healing it. So once we said heal it, we're like, oh, okay, let's double down on that.
In order to better understand Soulframe's setting in the lore of Alka then, it's probably a good idea for us to know a little bit about Princess Mononoke and its narrative themes. For those of you who are younger, or those who have just maybe never gotten around to watching it, the 1997 Japanese historical fantasy film was written and directed by famed animator Hayao Miyazaki. Miyazaki is sometimes known as the Japanese Walt Disney, and he has a ton of other awesome movies to his name, including Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, and Kiki's Delivery Service. Miyazaki's movies are often looked at closely by fans and scholars alike, and many of them explore reoccurring themes like how people interact with nature and technology, the value of creativity and craftsmanship, and the struggle to stay peaceful in a world that's full of conflict. His main characters are usually strong girls or young women, and his villains are often complicated with flaws but also redeeming qualities. For Princess Mononoke, the film is set during the medieval period of Japanese history and follows a young prince named Ashitaka who travels west to find a cure for his cursed arm. He receives this curse after killing a boar that is corrupted with hatred and attacking his village. Upon further investigation of the boar, Ashitaka discovers a bullet which he vows to find the origin of. As he travels, he realizes that the curse has given him magical powers which he then uses to fight against various injustices that he witnesses. He eventually stumbles onto a human settlement called Irontown, where the citizens are busy at work deforesting the surrounding area in order to mine iron for the manufacture of firearms. The industrialized village is led by Lady Eboshi, a no-nonsense woman who is trying to make Irontown a refuge for the outcast of society, including former prostitutes and people with leprosy. Standing in her way, though, are the animal gods of the forest, including the wolf goddess Moro and her adopted human daughter San. Throughout the film, Ashitaka tries to be a mediator between the two factions, working to try to find a balance between the conservation of the natural world and the modern advancement that's offered by the human settlement. He eventually falls in love with San, and the two of them save the people of Irontown from a tidal wave of black goo corruption which spews from the spirit of the forest after he is beheaded during the story's climax. There's this whole subplot around this throughout the movie, as some of the Emperor's men have been sent to Irontown to try to kill the spirit of the forest in order to take the spirit's immortality. But the important takeaway here is that not only does the spirit of the forest look a lot like a certain magical stag from Soulframe, but also that this black goo corruption is basically the result of greed, hatred, and other bad things. The movie ends with Ashitaka vowing to help Irontown rebuild, and San going back to the forest with the overall vibe that the villagers are going to try to live in a more harmonious way with the spirits and animals of the forest. Since its release, Princess Mononoke has been the subject of a lot of analysis regarding its themes relating to both environmentalism and moral ambiguity. Film scholars Colin Odell and Michel LeBlanc have written that the film simultaneously mounts a criticism of humanity's mistreatment in the natural world, while also grudgingly admitting that some disputes are inevitable to facilitate technological progress. While the human settlement is shown to be a haven for downtrodden members of society, they also have an opportunity to live honest lives and enjoy fair treatment. The conflict arises from the harm that the settlement causes to the surrounding environment. So how does this tie back into Soulframe? Well, let's start with the most obvious answer, the Ode. Just like Irontown, the Ode is an industrial force consuming the land's resources. Instead of iron and gunpowder, though, they produce ichor, the black sludge that powers their existence. This ichor is their lifeblood, but it also poisons the world around them. Forests rot, rivers run black, sprout folk lose their sanity, and omen beasts twist into monstrous forms. It's corruption on both a literal and spiritual level. Compare that to Mononoke's black goo. The corruption that burst out of the boar god spreads through Ashitaka's curse, and then ultimately floods the valley when the forest spirit is killed. In both these stories, this sludge represents what happens when hatred, greed, and imbalance take root. It's not just a villain to be defeated, it's a symptom of deeper problems that are in the world. And just as Ashitaka tries to mediate between Irontown and the forest, the Envoy in Soulframe stands between Alka's spirits and the Ode. You're not simply tasked with exterminating the Ode, you're also expected to restore harmony, heal corrupted places, and rebuild what's been lost. Another clear connection is the role of spirit animals. In Mononoke, the wolf goddess Moro and her adopted human daughter San embody the ferocity of the natural world. The boar clan represents stubbornness and pride, and towering above them all is the forest spirit, a majestic stag-like god who both gives life and takes it away. Now let's look at Soulframe. Garren Rood, the great stag omen beast, is a near one-to-one echo of the forest spirit's imagery. Then you have Bromius, the corrupted bear in Preludes 11, who isn't just a boss fight, but a twisted reflection of what happens when nature's protectors fall to addiction. Even the smaller spirits found in the Alka's children's enclave call back to Mononoke's Kodama, those rattling the little forest guardians. These creatures aren't just background flavor, they embody the soul of the world itself, and in both Mononoke and Soulframe, they show us what's at stake when balance is lost. One of Miyazaki's biggest strengths as a storyteller is that his worlds are morally complicated. There are no pure heroes or villains. Lady Eboshi burns forests, but she also saves the marginalized. San fights for nature, but she's consumed by rage. Even the forest spirit, serene as it may seem, is terrifying when its head is stolen. At the end of Princess Mononoke, things aren't wrapped up with a neat, happy ending. San and Ashitaka save the day, but they don't end up together, and the humans and spirits still live apart. There's hope, yes, but it's a fragile, uncertain hope. Soulframe is already signaling that same kind of complexity. The Ode are monstrous occupiers, but if Lady Diora is to be believed when you're fighting her during one of the initial quests, then the Ode has also ensured that no child from Midrith goes cold or is hungry. While Lord Synod, the leader of the Ode and the Big Bad, seems to be the embodiment of evil at this point in the game's narrative, I wouldn't be surprised if there was even a redemption arc for him too at some point in the future. Here's Steve Sinclair, the CEO of Digital Extremes, talking at TinnoCon 2024 about his thoughts on redemption in the game.
I don't know how you guys are all feeling these days, but the world's kind of a cynical place, and you can't really like things without being made fun of, and there's a lot of cynicism around, and I think for me personally, this is kind of like, what if there was a place where like everyone gets a second chance and there's a redemption arc for everyone? It doesn't all have to be dark and gloomy and bitter. And I think that's kind of what really has excited me so far about the preludes that we're doing, which is people are picking up on that tone, that kind of optimistic, really what original fantasy is about, which is this kind of rejection of modernity, rejection of cynicism, and really like believing in magic. So I think that's kind of how we're approaching it, at least from the heart side.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, Princess Mononoke isn't just an influence on Soulframe. It's almost like a spiritual ancestor. From the imagery of giant stags and creeping black corruption to the deeper themes of balance, ambiguity, and restoration, the DNA is crystal clear. But at the same time, Digital Extremes isn't just copying and pasting. They're taking these inspirations and remixing them into something new, something that's interactive and something that fits into their larger storytelling style. But what do you think? Do you see the same parallels that I do? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more Soulframe lore deep dives. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.